Hi there, this is Janet Gershon Siegel, and I'm the Lonely Writer. This is serious social media help for the independent author. The independent author is defined as being a writer who does not yet have an agent. This month I've been doing daily prompts for NaNoWriMo, and these prompts are all in kind of an interesting order, so please feel free to mix up the order, double up, skip things, look at them later, whatever you like. Go crazy with it. So anyway, today's prompt is one word, and it's the word sweet. So what's it all about? Now, what do we mean when we say something or someone is sweet? There's the flavor aspect, of course, but beyond that, what are sweet people like? I mean, they're pleasant, certainly, but they might also be kind of naive. Now, is there a sort of a relative kind of question here when it comes to sweetness? We don't necessarily, I think we can see older people as being sweet, the stereotypical quote unquote sweet old lady. But we might also be seeing young people, maybe even particularly girls, as being sweet, that they're accommodating. That's maybe even a better word. So is there a correlation between sweet music, which tends to be sort of major key, upbeat, not necessarily danceable, but it's certainly not the kind of stuff that it's not the music to slit your wrists by, as we say. Is that correlating at all to candy, let's say? Does it correlate to sweet memories? There's a very big positive correlation to this, but of course there's a very big negative behind it, because sweet foods can let's look at some of these other things. When we say somebody is sweet, we might also think they're a little shallow. Not necessarily that they don't have, like they're just looking at people on the surface and judging them that way. I don't mean that kind of shallowness, but maybe more along the lines of that, since they're letting less things bother them, and maybe they have more patience, maybe they're not losing their cool when they're supposed to. And by that I mean there's nothing wrong with becoming justifiably, righteously angry. There is nothing wrong with fighting and yelling and battling for social justice. There's nothing. So if somebody is too sweet, maybe they kind of let themselves be run over. Is sweetness cloying? Is it oppressive? Too much candy, too much honey, all of that stuff gives you cavities. Too much fruit, it's, too much sugar, you have issues with diabetes. So there are definitely balance issues when it comes to sweetness. We might have a sweet tooth, and we might love it. We want to drown in chocolate, but we really have to rein it in. And of course, there's the other piece of it, which is that too many sweets, you can gain weight from those. Now, when we look at what's called a quote unquote sweet romance, that means it has no or virtually no violence. It usually has no sex. And it's often young characters, so it could often mean innocence. So Gone with the Wind, for example, is not a sweet romance, because there's a point where Scarlett slaps Rhett. There is a point where she kisses Ashley, and who was married to Melanie at the time. So there's things that are negative. There's a lot of conflict that goes on in Gone with the Wind, even though it's a pretty standard kind of romance, sort of a historical romance, I guess you would say. It's not really a sweet one. There may be some correlations with age, inexperience, maybe with happiness, but possibly also virginity. Is sweetness ever negative? Well, yeah, lots of times, or at least too much of it is. So what does sweet mean to you? Finally, once again, this is Janet Gershon Siegel, the Lonely Writer, because an independent writer never has to be alone. Thank you so much for listening, and good luck with NaNoWriMo.